Your Excellency Marie-Louise Coleiro Preca, President of the Republic of Malta, and Mr. Edgar Preca. Welcome to Bethlehem University. My name is Michael Sansour. I'm the Executive Vice President of Bethlehem University and also your MC for this event. It is a privilege and great honor to have the presence of Your Excellency and your delegation from Malta at Bethlehem University. This visit goes to show that we have more in common between Palestine and Malta than the Mediterranean and St. Paul. Allow me first and foremost to welcome some members of the Maltese delegation. I'm sorry if I don't name everybody, as well as some of our other distinguished guests. From the government of Malta, with us today is the Honorable Christopher Fearn, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Health. The Honorable Jose Herrera, Minister of the Environment, Sustainable Development and Climate Change, and Mrs. Alexandra Herrera. The Honorable Silvio Panis, Parliamentary Secretary for Local Government and Communities. And my dear friend, Mr. Ruben Gauci, the representative of the Republic of Malta in Palestine. From our distinguished Palestinian guests, please allow me to welcome Mrs. Minister Rula Maaya, Minister of Tourism, Mr. Fadi Hananiya, Palestinian representative to the Republic of Malta, Mr. Tony Salman, Mayor of Bethlehem, Mr. Jihad Khair, Mayor of Beit Sahur, Mr. Eli Shhade, representing the municipality of Beit Jala, and Mr. Ilyas Al-Arja, the Honorary Consul of the Republic of Malta. Welcome. From Bethlehem University, His Excellency Archbishop Leopoldo Girelli, Apostolic Delegate and Chancellor of Bethlehem University. Mrs. Claudette Habash, Chair of the Board of the Trustees of Bethlehem University. Brother Peter Bray, Vice Chancellor and members of the Executive Council of the University. Deans, Chairs, Directors of Bethlehem University, faculty, staff, students, ladies and gentlemen. Again, a very warm welcome to you all. We are all gathered here to listen to Her Excellency, President of Malta, talk about tourism for peace. But before that, please allow me, Your Excellency, to invite our Vice Chancellor, Brother Peter Bray, to make his opening and welcoming remarks.
Thanks, Dr. Michel. Your Excellency, the President of Malta, distinguished guests in the delegation from Malta, distinguished guests from Palestine, faculty, staff, students. As Dr. Michel said, it is a privilege and a pleasure to be able to welcome you to this gathering here at Bethlehem University this morning. And I sincerely welcome you. But in addition to welcoming you, I thank you very sincerely for being here. I think one of the challenges we have here at Bethlehem University is to keep hope alive. And I think hope is something different to optimism, because when the Palestinians look back over the last 60 or 70 years, in fact, there's very little that leads them to be optimistic. So I think hope has to do with a sense of realizing that being here in this situation, that there are people outside this situation who have some understanding of what is happening here and are standing in solidarity with the students here, that the students are not forgotten. I think that aspect of hope is really very important. And I think it's very easy, if our students follow the international media, for them to get the impression that really nobody wants to have very much to do with Palestinians. You know, they're just this group of terrorists here in this little corner of the world. Your presence, Your Excellency, in being here with your delegation gives the lie to that. It shows our students that there are people outside of this situation who have some understanding and are prepared to stand in solidarity with them, who are prepared to come here and be with them. So I sincerely thank you for being here yourself and bringing your delegation with you, because it does help to keep hope alive here at this university. A university that emerged out of the visit in 1964 of Pope Paul VI and opened its doors on 1st of October 1973 with 112 students. It's a joint venture with the Vatican, a joint venture between the De La Salle Christian Brothers, who happen to have 4 institutions in Malta, and the Vatican. And I think that relationship is really important in keeping an international sense here at Bethlehem University, and helping to keep people outside of Palestine aware of what we are doing here in this country. When Bethlehem University started, it started with 5 faculties and the Institute of Hotel Management and Tourism. But when I think about what we are seeking to do here in Bethlehem University, one of my concerns is about the safety and the care of our students. An internationally recognized sociologist, Dr. Anthony Giddens, says about young people as they're growing up, and I quote, "The predictability of the apparently minor routines of everyday life significantly influence their sense of psychological security." Okay? The apparently minor routines. And when I think of 46% of our students coming from East Jerusalem, and when they get on the bus in the morning to come to Bethlehem University, they're not worrying about the minor routines. When Anthony Giddens was talking about it, he was talking about young people waking up in the morning and they know where the bathroom is, they know where their kitchen is, they know where their cereal and the milk or whatever they have for breakfast is. This routines that they get into. When our students get on the bus in Jerusalem to come to Bethlehem University, they don't know whether they're going to get here on time. They don't know whether the bus is going to be stopped once or twice or even 3 times by different groups of Israeli military. They don't know whether they're going to be interrogated. They don't know whether they're going to be arrested. They don't know whether they're going to have a gun put in their face. And when they arrive here at Bethlehem University, one of my concerns is, what is it that Bethlehem University can do to support these students? How is it that we can help them get the most out of their time here? And basically, there are 3 things that I think we can do. When students step onto this campus, I want them to know that they are safe here. Nobody's going to interrogate them here. Nobody's going to arrest them here. Nobody's going to put a gun in their face here. This is a safe place for them. As I mentioned, this is a university that the De La Salle brothers are involved in, and so we talk about ourselves as a La Sallian institution, following in the footsteps of Jean-Baptiste de La Salle, more than 300 years ago, who started the brothers. And then he emphasized to the brothers the importance of the relationship they had with students. And he talked about the brothers being brothers to one another and older brothers to the young people entrusted to them. And I talk here about faculty and staff being brothers and sisters to one another and older brothers and sisters to these young people who are entrusted to us. So when our students step onto campus, I want them to know that these adults that are engaged with, they are their older brothers and sisters who are really looking out for them, who are really caring for them. And the third thing I want them to know is that this is a predictable environment. When they step onto campus, they're not wondering what's going to happen. No. The classes are at certain times. There are expectations of them in class. There are assignments they have to do. There are exams they have to sit. This is a predictable environment for them. So it's a safe, a caring, and a predictable environment. And really what we are trying to do here, in the midst of all of this stuff that is going on around them, this is a little oasis of peace for them. This is a safe, caring, predictable environment for them. and if I can go back to where I started, we also want this to be a beacon of hope for them, so that as a result of being here, they have a sense there's some purpose in their life. And we're a university, we're an educational institution. So we want to be a provider of quality higher education. So an oasis of peace, a beacon of hope, and a provider of quality higher education. Part of that process of providing higher education is through the 5 faculties that we have and the Institute of Hotel Management and Tourism. And as I mentioned, the Institute of Hotel Management and Tourism has been a part of Bethlehem University from the very beginning. And we have graduated many people from that faculty, from the Institute, who are now in significant positions in the hospitality industry here in Palestine and in other parts of the world. And we are very proud of that. And I think the engagement with Malta, with the Institute, has begun, and I think you have met, Your Excellency, one of our students who is currently doing a Master's in Hotel Management in Malta, and will be coming back here to teach with us. So we're very conscious of the connection that we have with Malta, and we're very pleased about that, and we hope we can extend that. So because of the emphasis that Bethlehem University is placing on the Institute of Hotel Management and Tourism, we are in the process of converting an abandoned hospital into a teaching hotel and a teaching restaurant. Because with those new facilities, we believe we have the capacity to raise the level of service here in Palestine. And so I'm really pleased that you're focusing on tourism for peace in what you're going to say to us. And I'm delighted to have Her Excellency, the Minister of Tourism and Antiquities with us, and also the Mayor of Bethlehem and representatives from municipalities of Betzahor and Bajala, because the tourism industry and pilgrimage is a very important part of what Palestine can offer. And we are, I see, embedded in Palestine, in this city of Bethlehem. So we look forward to what you have to say to us. And again, thank you for being here. I thank the people in the Advancement Office for organizing this, and the people in the embassy here in Palestine. So welcome. Thank you all for being here. Shukran.
Thank you, Brother Peter. And now for what we have been eagerly waiting, may I have the honor of inviting Your Excellency Marie-Louise Coleiro Preca to deliver your lecture on tourism for peace.
Honorable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Health of Malta, Ministers from Malta, Dr. Herrera, Mr. Silvio Parnis, and the Minister for Tourism of Palestine, Mayors, Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, members of the University Council, faculty members, distinguished guests, dear students, dear friends. Father Brother Peter have said that coming over to Bethlehem University is a statement that we, as the Maltese people, do care about what is happening to the young people of Palestine. We have come here not just to give hope, but also to show our belief. And this belief has not started yesterday, but it has been there for decades. That we believe that the Palestinian people have the right to self-determination, have the right to the full enjoyment of their fundamental human rights. So on the 70th anniversary, since the UN Declaration of Fundamental Human Rights, I feel so privileged and honored to be in Bethlehem, but also to be the very first Maltese head of state to have visited Bethlehem University. I have decided to speak about tourism not only because I've been appointed by the UNWTO, the United Nations World Tourism Organization a special ambassador for sustainable tourism. But even more so because Bethlehem is an ideal place for people-to-people contact through its already flourishing religious tourism industry. Therefore, I would like to share some reflections on the importance of tourism as a source of connecting people, of developing friendships, and of building inclusive prosperity and bringing about peace. Since an effective tourism industry brings prosperity down to communities, one could say that a sustainable tourism industry addresses inequalities. Through this approach, local communities can benefit from the prosperity created by the industry. As I see it, it is only in this way that the tourism industry can serve to create inclusive prosperity, social cohesion, and peace for all humanity. This can be ensured by developing and by giving the visibility that is needed, for example, to the cultural and traditional heritage of all communities within our societies. As we all know, tourism is a job-generating industry due to its labor-intensive character. Therefore, if the tourism industry reaches out to the local communities, it can also help to develop dignified job opportunities for diversely skilled and qualified people on a community level. When we manage to address inequalities, we are effectively addressing subsequent social tensions and unrest. Therefore, through tourism, we can build a culture of positive peace. When we manage to address inequalities, we are also upholding the much-needed principles of social justice, and therefore we can make peace a reality. Moreover, tourism is a catalyst for diplomacy. Tourism diplomacy is a way of opening up to tourists visiting our respective countries to understand, acknowledge, and respect each other's diverse cultures. Tourism diplomacy is so much needed in today's uncertain world, where unfortunately we are becoming more and more suspicious of one another. Tourism in synergy with culture has the potential to generate economic growth, not only at a national and regional level, but also it can create direct and immediate socio-economic gains for local communities. When speaking of the interconnection between the tourism industry and culture, we are also speaking of community-level tourism. We are also essentially promoting the much-needed dialogue among diverse cultures in today's world. The Mediterranean is renowned for its diversity and cultural richness. However, we must acknowledge that, unfortunately, conflicts are a cause for concern in too many areas of our region. I am pleased to say that Malta, some years ago, set up the Mediterranean Tourism Foundation, of which I'm a proud patron, to implement this vision of prosperity and peace through tourism. The Mediterranean Tourism Foundation is promoting initiatives within and among the countries of the Mediterranean for the benefit of all of our communities and societies. The Mediterranean Tourism Foundation seeks to promote peace through intercultural connections by taking initiatives for the development of sustainable tourism in our region. Moreover, tourism is an essential contributor for stronger socio-economic growth, sustainable job creation, and the safeguarding of our global historical heritage. Tourism has the ability to unite diverse stakeholders to work together for shared prosperity rather than compete with one another. This is because every stakeholder brings their own unique contribution to the industry. Every country and community has its own particular culture and identity, which offers an inspiring experience to visitors and benefits for native populations. In this context, let me draw your attention to a recent report published by Harvard University entitled "The Role of the Tourism Sector in Expanding Economic Opportunity." This report clearly states that tourism creates opportunities for communities to work alongside national and international authorities to generate shared prosperity. As tourism grows, the potential of our people expands, thereby developing a nation's workforce to be more competent, diversified, and competitive. Increased investment in tourism will improve the lives of countless women, men, and children, while also empowering their businesses and communities. Let me use my own country as an example of how political will and community involvement have come together in a successful way over the past decades to strengthen our tourism industry. According to the latest indicators for Malta from the World Travel and Tourism Council, the tourism sector represents 11.2% of total investment in the Maltese economy and 28.3% of total employment. Such positive developments are also reflected in the international context. According to 2018 UNWTO World Tourism Barometer, Southern Europe and North Africa both saw an increase of 13% in tourist arrivals. This means that the Euro-Mediterranean region, on both shores of the Mediterranean Sea, is benefiting from a more resilient tourism industry. Furthermore, last year's World Travel and Tourism Council Economic Impact Report states that with the right regulatory conditions and political will, nearly 100 million new jobs could be created over the decade ahead. The report goes on to say that travel and tourism generates 10.4% of global GDP and 9.9% of total global employment. The sector's direct growth of 4.6% is outpacing the global economy for the 7th successive year. A cross-country study by the International Monetary Fund has shown that there is a direct link between tourism development and economic growth. This is why an investment in the tourism industry is also clearly a powerful means to stimulate stability and growth over the long term in a sustainable and responsible manner. This fact is also made clear in the United Nations Agenda 2030 and its 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Agenda 2030 is a roadmap for the sustainable future of our world, and it is the responsibility of all of our countries to implement its objectives. In particular, SDG number 8 focuses on the importance of sustainable economies, while SDG 8 Target 9 states that by 2030 we must devise and implement policies to promote sustainable tourism that creates jobs and promotes local culture and products. SDG 8 is putting pressure on all of us to be innovative in our endeavors. There is so much expertise that we can share in this regard, and I do hope that in the weeks to come, through our representative in Palestine and through your representative in Malta, we can develop further cooperation on technical assistance and education. Such expertise includes opportunities for education and training, as well as business-to-business connections, which link Palestinian stakeholders and their Maltese counterparts. Malta is a leader in the European Mediterranean region, with our focus on developing the potential of the tourism and travel sector. All of this is possible because of the close synergies we have promoted between our authorities, private sector, academia, and other stakeholders. Moreover, Maltese investment in travel and tourism has been paralleled by increasing interest in the importance of sustainability to ensure that future generations will also benefit from present-day prosperity. According to the Tourism Trends and Policies report published last year by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, there are various strategies that our policymakers and authorities should consider to invest in more sustainable and long-term approaches. Such strategies include promoting access to financial support for sustainable tourism projects, encouraging the transition towards low-carbon and climate-resilient investments, and encouraging a culture of environmental responsibility through stronger legislation. A practical initiative which I would like to share from my own country is the work being done by the authorities and civil society activists to free Maltese beaches and coastline from plastics. We are endeavoring to become the world's leading destination for environmental ocean tourism and to fulfill Malta's aspiration to become a plastic-free ocean area. Such an initiative will contribute not only to address some of the concerns created by climate change, but also to a healthier and sustainable tourism industry. I believe that the tourism industry must be open to the needs of local communities, alongside the requirements of visitors. Tourism is most successful when it takes place in a respectful context and an environment of collaboration. This is why the policies in the tourism sector must be connected to the grassroots realities of our communities. I am convinced that respectful, responsible, and sustainable tourism will also do so much by involving local people and civil society organizations to be active participants in the decisions that are affecting their lives and livelihoods. Let me also draw your attention to the latest report from the World Travel and Tourism Council entitled World Transformed, Megatrends and Their Implications for Travel and Tourism, which was published earlier this month. This report states that today's tourism is driven by the desire for new experiences and creating a sense of community and connection. The report goes on to say that as demographic shifts move our attention from the global west to the east, our international markets are being rapidly reshaped. In order to thrive, the tourism sector in our Mediterranean region must be open to these changes. In fact, we must be the pioneers. I believe that if we work together, the people of the Mediterranean will be global leaders thanks to our heritage of hospitality and the breathtaking richness of our cultural diversity. If all of the countries of the Mediterranean region come together to focus on the potential of the tourism industry, we would also be better equipped to provide an essential focus on another issue of global concern, namely environmental sustainability. We can save our precious ecosystems, address current environmental instabilities, and promote the sustainable preservation of our planet through the social and economic opportunities which tourism makes possible. This is emphasized by the latest Green Economy report, which is published by the United Nations Environment Programme and the United Nations World Tourism Organization. The report emphasizes that further investment is urgently needed to keep the international community on track to make the tourism industry greener, more environmentally responsible, and more responsive to the expectations of contemporary consumers. In order to be effective leaders, our innovations in the tourism industry cannot be motivated by short-term objectives or exclusively economic gain. They must also take into account the importance of environmental conservation and social development. In this context, let me highlight the essential contributions of women to maximize social development and in the process to build stronger and more resilient communities. And I'm truly proud of the Minister of Tourism for Palestine to be a woman. Evidence shows us that an investment in sustainable tourism is also an investment in the empowerment of women. According to data from the United Nations World Tourism Organization, women are more likely to be effective leaders in tourism businesses, associations, and tourism governance. Furthermore, tourism includes more women in the position of employers and business owners. Women working alongside men can be catalysts to improve the lives of their families, communities, and society as a whole. I am convinced that the travel and tourism industry is making it possible for us to do so much to achieve global peace by bringing so many people together. We must lead by example, to encourage dialogue, to nurture opportunities for friendship, to celebrate diversity, and to promote positive investments in peace around our world. Let us continue to endeavor to make the tourism industry a model industry for the promotion of sustainability, peace, and prosperity, to ensure the best possible future for our Mediterranean region and the love and all of our human family. Thank you. Shall I stay here or?
First of all, I would like to thank Your Excellency for this most enlightening and informative and encouraging lecture. Indeed, we have a rich cultural heritage here in Palestine, which is also linked to that of the rich diversity of the Mediterranean. And we also have our tourist industry, and the tourism industry is one of the very few that we have left, because as you are aware, almost everything has been taken away from us. And there has been a systematic and sinister attempt in the past 70 years to wipe that out, to wipe us all out. But thankfully we're still here, and what we have left, we have the grotto, and we have the sepulchre, and we have the sun. And we have the Mediterranean, although in Gaza, with the best sands that we have in the Mediterranean there, is the most polluted. And you have reminded us that it is a challenge to sustain the tourism industry, especially in this part of the world where it is very unstable. But we go on, and we are very proud of the achievements that we have in our tourism industry, especially here in Bethlehem, with all the development that has occurred. And we are proud of our minister, not because she's just a woman. No, she is also many other things beside that, and she has contributed to development. And we also want to assure you that the greater majority of our students here are women. So there is time for a few questions, not a lot. So if you have any questions for Her Excellency, please come forward. Yes.
Can we before applaud the men? Because I'm seeing some very ugly expressions, yeah?
Thank you very much for inviting lecture. My name is Excellency. I'm a professor and director of the Palestine Institute for Biodiversity and Sustainability at Bethlehem University. I have a quick comment and a quick question. In terms of what is happening in tourism here, we have actually very good tourism and alternative tourism activities here. One of the projects that Bethlehem University is now doing is a project in a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is near here, to enhance ecotourism and agricultural tourism that we are executing about £300,000 worth of money. from the Darwin Initiative, and we would love to collaborate with you on this. If I could connect with your minister also on this project, and we have a collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism here to do this. My question really is about what can the European Union and Malta do to help us in terms of the inability to do real proper tourism, including alternative tourism, under colonial occupation that brought 1 million colonial settlers into the West Bank, and that prevents us even from having regular tourism. Most of the tourism industry here, as you know, is controlled by Israel and controlled by the occupation. And so even here at Bethlehem University, volunteers who come, if the Israelis discover that they are volunteering at Bethlehem University, they turn them back at the airport and send them back to Europe. So we had at least 8 volunteers that were turned down coming here, and many tourist groups that were turned down because simply they are coming to Bethlehem, or they are coming to Bethlehem University, or they are coming to us. So my question is, what can the EU and Malta help us to basically liberate us from these controls that are preventing tourism development here? Thank you.
Take some questions or one at a time?
I think one at a time.
Okay. Well, one thing which I truly, I admire Palestinian people a lot. However, one thing which is really significant is the fact that life goes on. And the fact that the people in Bethlehem, with obviously the leadership of your able Minister for Tourism, have managed to continue to increase the tourism numbers. Yesterday we had a very interesting and constructive discussion with the Minister, and I was informed that 3 million tourists have come to Bethlehem. In spite of the many difficulties and the many incidents that have happened and happen. And also something else is the education, which is so key. Because even if everything is smooth running, no difficulties, nothing, if we do not have trained people for the industry, we do not have vision for the industry, tourism will not increase or get enhanced. So I believe that this part has to continue, or rather life has to go on. Now what can the international institutions do? As for Malta, this is very well known. We have always supported, and we continue to support, as long as it takes, the two-state solution and the self-determination of the Palestinian people. This is also Europe's position, the European Union's position. This is also the United Nations position. But I think one can entice further with certain institutions related to tourism themselves, like UNWTO. Maybe they can, what I might be saying might be seen as superfluous comments. But I think we need to entice as many international institutions and stakeholders as possible. And the UNWTO, which I'm convinced that there is a relationship with UNWTO, because it is very important to bring on board as many institutions as possible to get the support, and obviously help to make the aspirations of the people, of the industry, even more a reality than it is already, because it is a flourishing industry. It is a flourishing industry. I have also spoken of environmental, rather sustainability of the tourism sector, because even though there are UNESCO heritage sites, wonderful and unique heritage legacy in Palestine, but still the sustainability of the industry has to be taken care of, and also the environmental sustainability of the tourism industry, because everything, if one ignores or really seek short-term objectives or immediate objectives, the long run then will be missed out. And I do believe that Bethlehem's future and Palestine's future is in tourism as well. I mean, I could see, like Malta, tourism being one of the main pillars of the economy. So the issue of sustainability is very important, and environmental sustainability.
We have room for one or two more questions, please.
Dear Mrs. President, actually I have a question related to business. What is the main reasons for foreign investors to open companies or bring their businesses in Malta by opening branches?
Yes, let me give you a brief context.
Okay.
Malta has a pro-active government and a pro-business one. And what does that mean? It means that over these years, there has been the development of the proper and adequate business environment. Malta also has some, one could say, natural advantages. Like being a small country gives us the advantage that we are flexible. In terms of legislation, for example, it's easily implemented. Our authorities are very accessible to stakeholders, and the fact that there is this accessibility, then things can move on in a certain way, in a one could say in a fast-track manner. So these are the advantages, one could say, that comes with our smallness. But besides that, we have developed connectivity, which is very important. Malta is an island, so connectivity is very important. That is air routes and also sea links. In fact, for example, we have, even though we're a very small country, we have a national legacy airline, Air Malta, that flies every day to about 35 cities, main cities. It is also, Air Malta is venturing into Africa, for example, into sub-Saharan Africa. We have, one could say, an adventurous type of business community. But government enables that business community. That is, government opens up the doors for such business communities. So wherever we go, for example, even on state visits and the Prime Minister's visits, we take business community, a business community with us, or other businesses with us, and facilitate contacts with their counterparts in the particular country that we go to. We are registering really significant and impressive economic growth. Third quarter of last year, 2018, we have registered 7.6% economic growth increase. This is against 1.9% of the EU average. But this, as I said, this does not come by chance. Obviously, there is a lot of work being put in there. We have, one could say, exploited, and we continue to explore the advantages of being an island in the middle of the Mediterranean. For example, we have infrastructure that gives that advantage, like the development of a free port with about 115 links, which is, all this helps. We are only less than 10 kilometers from the main sea route in the Mediterranean. So we have developed, we have seen this as a strength and developed these type of connections. But policies are very important. Having a proactive government is very, very important. For example, we don't sit on our laurels. We have also, and this is very important, a highly skilled workforce, a flexible workforce, which is very important. For example, we wanted to develop our aviation services, and we have already quite a number of reputable companies like Lufthansa, Technique, SR Technique, but it wasn't just encouraging foreign investment to come to Malta. In parallel, we were working to empower young people to train in this aviation industry, so as we can supply the industry. In the meantime, ICT is also one of our strengths. But as I said, we're not sitting on our laurels and be complacent that things are going well. We are now into blockchain, for example, because we know that this disruptive technology is the future. We are into artificial intelligence again. So we are trying to be steps ahead other countries. On one hand, trying to seek the advantages that there are, look at our strengths, but also in parallel also train our people. I think there are a lot of similarities with Palestinian people. I have known Palestinians for a very long time, since I was even younger than yourself. And I've known Palestinians coming to Malta to study, because this was one of the areas of cooperation from decades ago. We still encourage scholarships, and we do have the Vice Chancellor have spoken of one particular student who will become one of your lecturers very soon. But I have come to know Palestinian doctors who have trained and become doctors in Malta, diplomats, and well, in hospitality as well, and in other vocational education. And I do hope that with Fadli now coming to Malta and with Ruben here in Palestine, we can continue to strengthen this collaboration, because education is key, education is the future, and whatever is the situation, your education is of utmost importance, because with education we can present ourselves anywhere and we can attract the necessary attention everywhere, and also bring the necessary stakeholders to collaborate. So I will give the floor till the end to you, because you can speak much more than me.
And this is the last question.
Well, first of all, I would like to welcome all of you here. And I'm also proud to be a Maltese student exchange graduate from the National University of Malta. And my colleague was Mr. Ruben Gucci. First of all, I would like to concur what you have said, is that Maltese people and Palestinians are alike. They have the white, good hearts. They love, they care, and they do not like to see injustice taking place. And this is why I see Malta as my also second home, and Ruben is also like a brother of mine. At the same time, I would like to encourage our students to try and have scholarships through the Maltese Representative Office in Malta. It's a very nice place to live in, very nice people, very nice food. You will not feel that you're not away from home, because it's the same like us, believe me. And when you listen to them speaking in Arabic, in Maltese, you think that they are speaking Arabic, because like 50% of what they have is similar to Arabic. At the end, I would like to thank both Mr. Ruben and Her Excellency for their very good efforts they have putting in encouraging tourism. Her Majesty have been able and succeeded, Excellency, sorry, succeeded in developing the tourism sector in a very good way. We have many tourists coming in, and also the efforts that Mr. Ruben has been putting is also have very good witnessed. We can see it. The activities of his office is very seen. And we really thank you guys for everything you have been doing to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Elias. Thank you. And now permit me to invite our Chancellor, the Chancellor of Bethlehem University, Archbishop Girelli, and Brother Peter Bray, our Vice Chancellor, to present a token of appreciation to Her Excellency Marie-Louise Coleiro Preca, the President of Malta. As you may have noticed, this is a mother of pearl from Bethlehem. Now please remain where you are. We want to have a group photo. Yes. Yeah. Can you please stand up? In closing, may I sincerely thank Your Excellency and your delegation for your visit to Bethlehem University. And I would also like to thank all of our other distinguished guests, faculty, students and staff for coming and participating in the program. It is my pleasure also to invite you, deans and directors and our distinguished Palestinian and Maltese friends, for a small reception.